Namaste, dear friends. Have you ever stopped to wonder if being too friendly might be costing you more than you think? We've all experienced the joy of kindness, going out of our way to make someone feel welcome, smiling when we don't really feel like it, and offering our time and energy freely. But here's the question: is there a point where all this giving, all this effort to please others, becomes a burden? Imagine this: you're always saying yes, always available, always putting others first. But deep down you start to feel drained. You feel unappreciated, even exploited. Sound familiar? It's easy to get caught up in the idea that being nice means being liked. But Buddhism teaches us a different path, one that prioritizes balance and self-respect. Today, let's reflect on something crucial. When we overextend ourselves in the name of friendliness, we risk losing our own peace. We start living for others rather than for ourselves. So, in this video, let's explore why being too friendly can ultimately lead us away from the true path of self-respect and harmony. We'll discover how Buddhism teaches us the importance of boundaries, the value of self-respect, and how to cultivate balanced relationships without depleting our energy. By the end, you'll have the tools to give freely without the fear of being drained, and live a life that honors both you and those around you. Let's begin this journey together. Part 1. The problem with being too friendly. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you went out of your way to please everyone? Maybe you said yes to that extra task at work when you were already overwhelmed. Or perhaps you smiled through an uncomfortable conversation just to keep things light. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that kindness, being endlessly available, and agreeing to everything makes us more lovable. After all, who doesn't want to be liked? But have you ever stopped to think about why we feel the need to be so accommodating? Is it because we fear rejection or feel that we won't belong if we don't meet everyone's expectations? In the world we live in, approval seems like the golden ticket to acceptance. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek validation from those around us. We're praised when we conform, when we give without question, when we show up at every beck and call. But in Buddhist philosophy, this seeking of external validation, this attachment to approval, becomes a source of suffering. Why? Because when we seek approval, we unknowingly give away our power. We start living according to the whims of others rather than based on our own values. Our lives, instead of being self-directed, begin to revolve around meeting others' expectations. Let me share a story that might shed some light. There was once a beautiful river flowing endlessly across a vast landscape. The river gave its water freely to the trees, animals, and fields it passed, nourishing the land. But one day, the river began to flow toward a desert. The river poured its water into the dry, barren soil, but none of the water could be absorbed. It just evaporated into the hot air. The river, once full of life, became empty, drained, and purposeless. Its gifts were wasted. This is exactly what happens when we give our kindness, our time, and our energy to people who don't value it. We give and give, expecting something in return, maybe not even consciously, but we expect to feel appreciated, to feel noticed. And yet, time and again, our kindness is taken for granted. The more we give, the emptier we feel, like the river flowing into the desert. We don't realize it at first, but the constant demand for approval slowly depletes us, leaving us dry, tired, and resentful. And yet, we keep giving because we think that's what we should do, that being nice and agreeable is the key to making others happy. The Buddha's teachings remind us that this kind of attachment to approval, this need to be liked by everyone, is a form of self-suffering. We lose ourselves in the process. The moment we stop seeking approval from the outside world, we begin to reclaim our power. Just like the river, when we stop flowing into barren soil, we begin to flow into fertile ground. And that fertile ground is our own self-worth, our boundaries, and our ability to choose where to direct our energy. When we choose to stop pleasing everyone, we regain control over our lives. We start respecting our time, our energy, and most importantly, ourselves. When we no longer seek the approval of others, something magical happens. We begin to attract the right people, those who see our value, who respect our time, who appreciate our kindness. We no longer waste our energy on people who take it without giving back. Instead, we pour our energy into relationships and endeavors that nourish us, just as a river nourishes a fertile field. And in doing so, we cultivate a life that is rich in meaning, not because it is filled with approval, but because it is filled with self-respect and balance. So take a moment to reflect. Where are you giving your energy? Is it being received with gratitude and respect, or is it being wasted, just like the river flowing into a desert? The choice is yours. Part 2. The importance of boundaries in Buddhist philosophy. In the teachings of Buddhism, one of the most profound principles is the idea of self-respect. It's a simple yet powerful truth. If we do not respect ourselves, how can we expect the world to show us respect? This idea isn't about arrogance or pride. No, it's about recognizing and honoring our own worth. It's about understanding that we are worthy of care, love, and dignity, not because of what we give to others, but because we inherently deserve it. And in that understanding, we also realize that setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but of self-preservation. Boundaries are the protective walls we build around our inner peace, ensuring that we do not lose ourselves in the demands and expectations of others. Imagine, if you will, a grand tree standing tall in the middle of a forest. Its roots run deep into the earth, firmly anchored to the ground. The tree might sway in the wind, but it does not fall. It stands there, steadfast, unshaken by the passing storm. The tree does not allow the winds to uproot it, nor does it bend to their will. This tree, in all its majesty, represents a life lived with strong boundaries. Just as the tree stands firm and unmoved, we too must cultivate a sense of self that is not swayed by the ever-changing demands of others. Let me share a story with you. There were two employees, both hard-working, both dedicated to their jobs. The first employee was always running around, trying to help everyone, constantly saying yes, even when they were overwhelmed. They would skip lunch breaks to finish extra tasks, respond to late-night emails, and rush to help colleagues with their problems, all at the expense of their own well-being. On the surface, they seemed like the model employee, the one everyone could rely on. But slowly, over time, they began to burn out. They became exhausted, their productivity dropped, and their sense of fulfillment dwindled. No one seemed to notice the toll it was taking on them. They had given everything, but in return, they felt unappreciated and invisible. The second employee, on the other hand, was also diligent, but they knew the value of their time. They worked hard, but they also knew when to say no. They set clear boundaries, ensuring they didn't overextend themselves. If they were asked to take on a task that wasn't within their responsibilities, or if they were asked to stay late when it wasn't necessary, they politely declined. They understood that their time and energy were precious. They didn't feel guilty for saying no. Instead, they felt empowered by their ability to prioritize their own well-being. Now, when it came time for a promotion, who do you think was more respected in the workplace? More often than not, it is the one with boundaries. The reason? Simple. The second employee valued their own time. They did not allow others to exploit them. And as a result, people respected them more. They were not seen as someone who could be taken advantage of. Instead, they were viewed as someone who understood their worth. People started to trust them more, not because they said yes to everything, but because they were firm, dependable, and unwavering in their respect for themselves. Boundaries, dear friends, are not just lines drawn in the sand. They are the manifestation of self-respect. When we honor our own time, energy, and needs, the world begins to see us as valuable. And when we learn to say no, not out of spite, but out of wisdom, we protect our inner peace. We become like that strong tree, able to bend with the wind, but never broken by it. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It's a powerful act of self-care, one that ensures we have the energy to give in ways that are meaningful and sustainable. So ask yourself, where in your life do you need to set clearer boundaries? Are you giving too much of yourself to others, leaving nothing for your own well-being? If so, it's time to start recognizing your own worth, just as the second employee did, and make the decision to protect your energy. Your peace is sacred, and you must honor it. The moment you do, you will find that not only do you become more respected, but you also become a person who is truly at peace with themselves. Part 3. The impact of over-apologizing. Buddhism teaches us that words are powerful, more powerful than we often realize. They can heal, they can harm, and most importantly, they can shape the reality we experience. One of the most subtle, yet deeply ingrained ways we give away our power is through constant apologizing. Have you ever found yourself saying sorry over and over again in a single day? Sorry to bother you, sorry for interrupting, or sorry, I didn't mean to say that. These words may seem harmless, even polite, but if we examine them closely, they begin to reveal something much deeper. The truth is, each time we apologize unnecessarily, we're essentially giving away a piece of our self-worth. It's as if we are telling the world that we do not deserve to occupy space, that we are somehow an inconvenience. It's not just about the apology itself, but about the underlying belief that we must constantly seek permission to exist, to be heard, or to be seen. And when this becomes a habit, it begins to erode our self-esteem bit by bit, until we lose sight of our own strength and worth. Buddha once wisely said, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" This simple teaching carries profound wisdom. In essence, when we apologize for things that do not require an apology, we are like a person refusing to accept a gift of our own voice, our own worth. We hand over control to others, giving them the power to dictate how we should feel and behave. It's as if we are inviting others to define us, rather than standing firm in our own truth. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this. There was once a young monk who was walking through the marketplace, minding his own business, when a passerby insulted him. The passerby shouted rude words at the monk, but instead of reacting with anger or even a defensive apology, the monk simply smiled. His calm demeanor caught the attention of others, who wondered how he remained so composed in the face of such insult. When they asked him how he could stay so calm, the monk responded with a question: "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The crowd was puzzled at first, but then the monk explained, "Just as a gift belongs to the giver when it is not accepted, so too does an insult belong to the one who offers it when it is not accepted. I do not accept their gift of anger or judgment, and therefore it does not affect me." The wisdom of this simple act lies in the fact that the monk refused to let the words of others control his inner peace. He did not apologize for his presence, nor did he allow the insult to determine his worth. By not accepting the insult, he remained untouched and unshaken. This story serves as a powerful reminder for us all. When we stop apologizing for every little thing, when we stop letting others' judgments define us, we regain control of our own energy. We stop giving away our power in meaningless exchanges. Instead, we cultivate a sense of inner peace, a quiet confidence that comes from knowing our own worth. Just like the monk, we can smile in the face of negativity, knowing that we do not have to accept anything that diminishes our light. The next time you feel the urge to apologize unnecessarily, ask yourself, do I truly need to apologize for this? And if the answer is no, remember that you are not obligated to shrink or apologize for simply being yourself. When we stop apologizing for existing, for taking up space, or for sharing our opinions, we reclaim our energy. And that, my friends, is where true power lies. Part 4. Understanding the role of self-respect in relationships. Let's pause for a moment and think about something that often goes unnoticed in our busy lives: relationships. We all know what it feels like to be in a situation where we give, but never seem to receive in return. Perhaps it's a friendship where you're always there for them, always lending an ear, always offering a helping hand. But when the tables are turned, when you need something, they're nowhere to be found. How does that make you feel? I'm sure many of us have felt exhausted, unappreciated, even drained by these one-sided relationships. You give your time, your kindness, your energy, but it feels like it's never enough, and you start to wonder if it ever will be. In Buddhist philosophy, we are taught to be mindful of where we invest our energy, especially when it comes to relationships. Not everyone deserves our kindness, just as not everyone deserves the rarest of gems. We must be discerning about where we direct our time, love, and attention. Think of it like this: would you give a precious rare diamond to someone who doesn't understand its value, or worse, someone who might even toss it aside without a second thought? Of course not. The same principle applies to our kindness, our time, and our emotional energy. If we continue to pour ourselves into relationships that take more than they give, we will find ourselves depleted, like a river flowing into a desert, with nothing to show for it. Let's take a moment to imagine that you are like a river. The river flows freely, nourishing everything in its path, but if it flows toward a desert, its waters will simply disappear into the dry, barren soil. All that energy, all that potential is wasted. Now imagine if the river were to flow toward fertile soil. The water would be absorbed, nourishing the earth, allowing plants to grow, creating life. In the same way, when we direct our energy toward relationships that truly appreciate and value us, we can grow together. Our kindness, our love, our support, it will grow into something meaningful, creating a deeper connection and enriching both ourselves and the other person. But here's the catch: we often find ourselves pouring into relationships that are like that desert, endlessly giving but never receiving. You see, some people only take and never give, and if we continue to pour ourselves into these relationships, we become drained. It's not about being selfish, it's about recognizing when enough is enough. The river does not waste its energy flowing into the desert, and neither should we waste our kindness on those who do not appreciate it. Let me share a story to illustrate this. A wise old monk once spoke to his young disciples about the nature of giving. He said, "Imagine a tree that gives shade to all who rest beneath it. It does not ask for anything in return. It provides freely, yet it takes care of its own needs. It absorbs water from the earth. It protects itself from the elements. If the tree allowed itself to be used by every traveler who sought shelter, without nurturing its roots. Eventually, it would wither and die. The tree must also take care of itself to continue giving. The monk's words are a reminder that we too must take care of ourselves to continue giving meaningfully. It's easy to feel guilty when we set boundaries or stop giving to those who don't reciprocate. But when we realize that our energy is precious, like that tree's shade, like the river's water, we begin to understand the importance of self-respect in relationships. Self-respect isn't about being cold or distant. It's about recognizing that we deserve the same care and appreciation we so willingly give others. When we stop pouring ourselves into relationships that do not value us, we make space for those who truly see us, those who understand the depth of our love, the significance of our time, and the worth of our presence. In the end, it is these relationships, those grounded in mutual respect and understanding, that help us grow, like the river flowing into fertile soil. So remember, not every relationship is meant to be a giving tree. Some are meant to be nurtured, while others need to be let go. Choose wisely where you pour your energy, for your time and love are as precious as the rarest gem. Part 5. Saying no and honoring your time. In the world we live in today, saying no can feel like an act of rebellion. It's almost as if we're trained to say yes to everything, to be constantly available, to fulfill every request, to drop whatever we're doing to help someone else. But deep within us, we know that constantly saying yes comes at a price. It comes at the expense of our own well-being, our own time, and our own peace of mind. In Buddhism, we are taught to be mindful of our actions, not only for others, but also for ourselves. The act of saying no is not just a form of rejection. It's a practice of self-respect. It's the ability to honor our own time, our own needs, and our own limits. Think about it for a moment. Every time you say yes to someone else, are you perhaps saying no to yourself? Are you choosing someone else's needs over your own? It can be a tough realization, but it's true. Every time we overextend ourselves, every time we sacrifice our own time to please others, we are slowly chipping away at our own sense of balance and well-being. Buddha understood this deeply. He never encouraged us to be endlessly available to others, to be constantly giving without ever taking time to replenish our own spirit. No, instead, he emphasized balance, the importance of caring for ourselves first, so that we can show up fully for others when it matters most. Let me share a story that illustrates this beautifully. There was once a wise monk who lived on a small hilltop, far from the busy city. People from all over the village would come to him for advice, seeking wisdom, comfort, and guidance. The monk was always kind and helpful, but he also knew his limits. One day, a villager came to him with a heavy heart, seeking advice about a difficult decision. The monk listened intently, but after a long conversation, he gently said, "I cannot help you any further today. You must find the answers within yourself. It is time for you to leave and think." The villager was shocked. "But Master, I need you. I've come all this way, and now you are turning me away." The monk smiled kindly and replied, "By saying no to you now, I am giving you the gift of space. You will find your own answers. If I were to say yes to your request, I would only prolong your journey. Sometimes, saying no is the most generous thing I can offer." The villager left, feeling confused but oddly grateful. Over time, he came to understand the monk's wisdom. By setting boundaries and respecting his own energy, the monk was not being selfish. He was teaching others the importance of looking within themselves for answers and showing them the value of finding their own strength. This story reminds us that saying no does not mean rejecting others, nor does it make us selfish. It is simply a recognition that we too are deserving of care and respect. Buddha taught that true generosity starts with taking care of our own well-being. When we honor our time, our energy, and our peace, we create the space to truly show up for others in ways that are meaningful and fulfilling. So the next time you feel the pressure to say yes, pause. Ask yourself, am I saying yes because it aligns with my values and intentions, or am I saying yes because I fear disappointing someone else? Saying no, when done with intention and mindfulness, allows us to live with clarity and purpose. It is an act of self-care, a way of honoring our time and our boundaries. Just as a tree cannot grow without its roots firmly planted in the earth, we too cannot give our best to others if we do not first honor ourselves. Remember, saying no is not a rejection of others. It is an affirmation of our own worth. Conclusion. As we pause to reflect on the profound Buddhist teachings about friendliness, boundaries, and self-respect, let us carry with us this essential truth. True power does not arise from the need to please others, but from the ability to respect and honor ourselves. It is in the delicate balance of setting healthy boundaries, knowing when to say no, and offering our kindness only to those who truly value it, that we begin to cultivate relationships of depth and meaning. These are the relationships that nourish us, that uplift us, not the ones that drain us. So let us choose to live with intention. Let us stop seeking constant approval from others and instead begin living for ourselves. Let us master the art of controlled friendliness, offering warmth and kindness, but never overextending ourselves to the point of self-sacrifice. In doing so, we create space for the right people to enter our lives, those who will respect us for who we truly are, and the wrong ones, they will fade away on their own, as they no longer have the hold they once had over us. Remember, the path to inner peace and self-respect does not lie in being the most available person in the room, constantly bending to every demand. No, true peace lies in being the most grounded, the most centered, and the most authentic version of yourself. The moment you stand firm in your own worth, the world will begin to reflect that back to you. If you found value in today's reflection, I invite you to subscribe to Quiet Wisdom and join us on this journey of applying Buddhist philosophy to everyday life. Let us walk this path together, creating lives filled with peace, self-respect, and true connections. Namaste.